This is one story I refuse to give up on, okay? We have another update on. We filed a lawsuit against our neighbors. I will not stop until that fence is taken out of the water. And if you missed all the other parts, you're gonna wanna watch them because this shit is crazy.
Okay, so I need y'all's help with something. We are having issues with an influx of cats. Now, I know you're gonna say, well, you had a cat, Alicia, and that's true, we did. However, we kept our cat in our garage so we could go in and out. And if there was ever any cats that came to our property that were not our cats, we would put our cat in the garage to stop their interaction. However, I've noticed a lot of cats coming from our neighbor's property, and babies and mamas and cats I've never seen before. And now they're coming onto our property and they're peeing in the sand that we put down on our side of our property to park our trailers and whatnot. And then our dogs go out to potty and they're going in the sand, or running through the sand and getting it on their feet and then coming in, and it stinks terribly.
Ew.
And so,
Lord help me if they're gonna start fighting over cats and we have a brand new feud happening.
On top of that, in the middle of the night, we are hearing cat fights because we have, again, an influx of cats.
Oh, damn. Oh! Oh, damn, they're really fighting.
So what would y'all suggest to help keep these cats off our property? What can we do? What can we put out? What can we use to prevent them from coming onto our property? Because we can't have this. It's just too much.
I've got a feeling this is gonna be a new fight. Oh my God. Let's just find out, shall we? All right, so someone asked a question. Why don't any of your neighbors support you? Why does no one support you? I have followed this and I don't understand. I'm assuming this has to do about the whole fence in the water thing. But good question. Like, where are all the other neighbors on this?
Okay, first off, no shade on my other neighbors, because we actually really like our other neighbors within the neighborhood. We have plenty of friends. There are some that we hang out with, some that we just talk with when we see. However, everybody wants to hear the drama, see the drama. What happened when the police officers came? Let me see the videos. What did they say? All of that, right?
Everyone, meaning me and my YouTube audience as well. We are here for the drama.
Until it gets real. Then suddenly they don't want to get involved. We've asked a few people to write statements and whatnot, and that was kind of the response, is they didn't want to get involved. And I don't blame them, truthfully. They don't want to be targeted next, right? They know that if their neighbor, if she finds out that they're helping us or supporting us, then they'll most likely be targeted next, or that's their fear anyway. And truthfully, thankfully, we really have never needed a statement from anyone else or help from anybody else, because we're just not doing anything wrong, and the police see that, and the local officials and the judge have seen that. So we have never received a citation. We've never lost in court. So overall, we've never really had to and truly needed other neighbor help. But that's just it. They're friends. They want to hear about it, they want to see it, but they don't want to get involved.
I guess if the fence isn't like if they're not boating around her house, it wouldn't even faze them. So they're probably just like, tell me about it, but also not my business. Exactly like I'm doing.
And that seems to be a common thing, right? It's all fun and games until it gets real. I don't really blame them. I probably wouldn't want to get involved either if I was on the other side. Look, people are just here with their families and just want to live in peace, just like us. We just want to live here, have fun, do our thing, and be left alone. So, truthfully, don't blame them. Okay, I have an update for you on the cat situation with our neighbor and her having multiple cats and them coming over here and peeing in our yard. We took your advice and we put sprinklers, motion detected sprinklers on the property line. We have one installed there and then one a little further back. We installed them on Friday and Monday. Had a call from the HOA from a complaint from our neighbor about our motion detected sprinklers. She said that our sprinkler was sprinkling on her driveway.
This cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. It's not even a feud about the cats. It's a feud about the sprinklers. Your water is sprinkling onto my driveway.
It's milking.
Buckle up. I already sense a part 8 coming on this story.
Now, if I'm going to give her any benefit of the doubt ever, or any pass on a complaint, maybe this is the one. I probably wouldn't want her sprinkler sprinkling on my driveway either. You know, obviously the way to do it would be to ask the neighbor to move it or whatever, but we're way past that, right? I did tell the HOA president that I would move it, but I was also like, hey, tell your neighbor that the cats need to be gone, or they need to stop coming into on our property. And also, we have a new HOA president. So what happened was we had a guy that was a president that gave us a hard time with the neighbors. Then he was voted out and the former president actually became president. Well, that president has decided to step down. I don't know why, and I didn't see any announcements, so this is all new. And lo and behold, the guy who gave us trouble is back. So he's the new president again, and his first order of business is to call us about the recent complaint. It's going to be a great summer.
Oh, we are in for a ride. We are in. I feel like we're watching, every time I have an update, I'm like, it's like a new season of my favorite show. I feel bad for them, but like, the entertainment. Do you guys think the neighbor and the HOA that gives them, like that, the HOA president or whatever the fuck it's called, gives them a hard time because the neighbor and the HOA leader are friends? Like, do you think they have, you know, they team up together kind of thing? They have the in with the HOA dude? My spidey senses.
We put the sprinklers out on Friday. On Monday, we get a complaint from the HOA saying the neighbor called and complained saying that our sprinklers were sprinkling their driveway. I'm not sure what time he called to tell me this, but I work, I have kids, I have a life, I'm busy. I didn't move them right away. However, I did see my husband out there by the property line and doing something, so I figured maybe he was adjusting the sprinklers. I didn't know. I didn't ask. Last night, my family and I are eating dinner at a restaurant, and we get a text message from the HOA president. When I see the text message, I ask my husband, hey, I thought you moved those sprinklers, and he said, no, I was out there messing with the trailer. But let's clarify. First off, I know she didn't get sprayed down because this is motion detected sprinklers that just lets out spurts of water.
Hold on. It literally says, I'm not sure when Alicia planned on adjusting her sprinklers, but she hasn't. Sprayed my daughter down when she left for work.
To scare or deter animals from being around them. Nonetheless, after dinner, I get out of the car and I turn the sprinklers off because I was like, I'll just have to get to that later. I don't have time for it, but I turned them off. This morning, I get this text message. So as mentioned, I turned the sprinklers off last night.
Just got another one. The people next door are continuing with the breaking of HOA Covenant 5, noxious and offensive behavior of they are continuing to let their motion activated sprinklers spray us and our driveway.
In my opinion, this is harassment not only by the neighbors, but the HOA too. I'm starting to realize playing nicey nice, doing things the right way, really gets you nowhere. I will bring the HOA in this harassment claim if and when it happens.
Because that text came at 9:28 a.m. And if she shut them off, where's the continuation, ma'am? Like maybe she just assumed you didn't turn them off? Either way, this whole thing is absurd. Oh my God, you're gonna have the worst summer of your life.
As I told you yesterday, we are fed up. We are fed up with how things have gone down. We fed up with how we've tried to always do the right thing and how that doesn't pay off. Being the nice guy, we know that saying, right? Nice guys finish last. So here we are. Fast forward to my response. This is my response to the HOA president who texted me yesterday. So yesterday I ended up responding after I calmed down. This is what it said.
Girl, are you gonna read it?
Pause and read because it's kind of long. Here's the second part.
Thanks for the update. The sprinklers are on our property and were installed to deal with their cats using our yard as a litter box, which, as you can imagine, is beyond frustrating. They're motion activated and emit a quick burst of water. Not exactly enough to spray down anyone unless they're standing directly on our property line. The dramatics are getting old. I told you I would adjust them and still plan to when I have the time. But after years of baseless complaints from that side, it's exhausting always being the one expected to bend. Also, just want to be clear, the second complaint sent this morning is completely false. The sprinklers were turned off last night shortly after you sent me the initial message. So either there's some confusion or most likely they're just pushing another fabricated story. And while we're documenting things, please consider this my official complaint as well. Their cats coming into our yard and urinating around our home and yard is unsanitary and not something that we shouldn't have to tolerate. Shouldn't have to tolerate. I expect that issue to be taken just as seriously. Please be sure to forward this message to the neighbor as you did with theirs, so they're aware that I've also made you formally aware of the situation. And they responded with, okay, I will pass that along.
I don't know whether he really passed it along or not, but that was his response. My husband also gave him a call, and I will say that the choice of words he used was not very friendly. He actually, in fact, let him have it. We're just tired. We're fed up. We will no longer be harassed. I've blocked the HOA president, and I will follow up with an email. Moving forward, the only correspondence I will have from them will be via email. And I'm not stopping here. I am going to go ahead and file the complaints that I should have filed a long time ago.
This is getting insane. No, we're not even talking about the fence anymore. All I was looking for was the update on the fence. Now we're talking about a sprinkler and cat war. I got a feeling HOA and neighbor they're buds. They're working together. I'm feeling it. Grab your beverage of choice. We're hopping on Hydration Station. Oh, my bell wasn't on. Cheers. I got the stories that are gonna come this summer. I am not prepared.
Okay, after years of complaints, false complaints by our neighbor to our HOA, and our HOA board and president not verifying that these complaints are accurate or true, I have sent out an email stating that there will be no more communication via text, calls, and or in person. It will only be accepted via email with all board members attached. Here's the email. I also address many other things. Pause and read, or skip to the end where I summarize the email if you don't want to read it.
We'll let her summarize. Oh, that's long. Part 4 of 6. Oh yeah, there's 6 parts to this email. I'm giving my voice.
In summary, the email basically touches several complaints that were made without being verified and just coming straight to us to say, hey, don't do these things, without making sure that what was being said was true. I made sure to touch base on how my neighbor had been found guilty recently of harassing a juvenile and how that was my son while he was fishing. I talked about the wire fence that still has not been addressed. And I asked for documentation on how things are being handled. Specifically, variance requests, complaints, voting procedures, covenant enforcement. Let's see some policies and procedures, because it seems to be handled differently for every homeowner. Because I know for a fact that these variances they have given have been addressed differently for each homeowner. Some variances are just granted without question. The board doesn't discuss it. They don't vote on it. But then yet there was another homeowner within the neighborhood that's on my street that had to go to each neighbor within her area to make sure that they were okay with the variance that was needed. So why wasn't I given that opportunity on the shed the neighbor built closer to my property line that should be? So I want to see some documentation, because I got mine. Let's see yours.
This whole HOA thing, I don't think I could handle it, you guys. I don't know much about it, but I think it's really smart to now request every email and every form of communication. Every board member is attached and CC'd in that email thread. Absolutely. No like text messages, this person said that. No, absolutely not. I like this plan.
In early March, our neighbor lost the appeal against the wildlife and fishery agents for a ticket she received for harassing my boys while they were fishing in the river behind our home. She was cited and she appealed it and lost. Less than a month later, which brings us to today, a no-wake zone ordinance sign has been posted in their backyard. Now, let me remind you, they petitioned for this ordinance a year and 2 months ago that they had petitioned for this no-wake zone ordinance. It was passed, however, there was never a sign installed. Now, only a month after losing her appeal, the no-wake zone sign is installed. Now, I don't know about you, but it seems like a clear case of retaliation to me. And the sign is not small. This is blown up, but the sign is not small, and it is directly in the middle of their backyard. Now, let me also remind you that when this whole no-wake zone thing started with the neighbor a year and 2 months ago, the wildlife fishery agents informed me that there was a law passed in 2021 where they could no longer enforce a no-wake zone unless it was 300 feet from a public boat launch, which obviously is not the case here. I'd really like to know how the parish intends to enforce it. I would like to know why it was installed even after providing the law to the parish councilman regarding this. Regardless, though, I will say this, is that she is building this pile of signs out there, making it tough, I would think, for her to sell her home in the future.
They have to have connections, or they are in a position of some form of power that we don't know about. They have to.
An ordinance sign isn't something you can just go and remove when you're ready to sell. So now she has this huge ordinance sign directly in the view of her view of the river, along with no trespassing signs. Take a look.
Oh yeah, I see the signs. And the fence.
This is clearly just another tool she's wanting to use to harass us. She tried to say that we were causing wakes and throwing wakes in the river before this. And if you don't know what a wake is, it's basically when the ripples in the water are big or have caps from a boat's, running, going, high speeds. That's not the case back here. Never has been the case. She tried to claim that in the past. So here we are with now a no-wake zone, and she's definitely going to try to use that as a tool. She'll use it as a tool and call the police even when it's clearly not a wake. But again, who's going to enforce this? Who is she going to call?
I already have a headache for you, knowing that anytime there's a little bit of wave happening on her water, police are getting called. She'll film it, she'll take pictures, she'll document, she'll call the police, she'll make a complaint. How do you even enjoy your summer at this point? Someone wrote, well, it's a pointless sign since you don't make wakes. You should tell her, I like the new sign. It looks great, with a big smile to throw her off. And then the caption of this video says, the time the neighbor chased my car.
This comment actually reminds me of a time that I told her something about her calling the parish on us, code enforcement, because we had put a wall up on our shed, but she waited 8 months before she called. We were getting close to going to court, so I assumed she was looking for anything and everything she could possibly find that we had done wrong to use as evidence in proof of her case, I guess. However, when the code enforcer came out, he saw that it was just a single wall that I had put up on the area where we can drive our cars, like I don't even know what it's called, but anyway, it wasn't enclosed. There was no electricity ran to it. It was just a single little wall. It's actually to more or less block our belongings from the site of the main road. So he left. He said there was nothing, no violation or anything like that. So the next time I happen to see her out in her yard, more towards the street, is the only time I ever said anything directly to her about something her calling on us about. But I rolled down the window and I said, thanks for calling code enforcement to check to see if I violated anything, but we didn't. But thanks for checking on it for us. Ooh, she was so mad. She flung her hat. She almost kind of chased my car down the side. She was yelling something and flinging her arms. I had already rolled the window back up, but she was hot. That was one of the only times I ever like directly spoke to her or said anything to her regarding a call she had made, but she was so mad.
I want to see her so bad. Is anyone else? Like, I just want to see, I need to put a face. I feel like we know so much about her. I need to put a face to her at this point. Because what I'm picturing, I don't know. I'm probably way off.
I came across this Facebook post that I figured I would share just because, well, let me share it. So I came across this Facebook post as I was just scrolling through Facebook normally. And let me let you read it.
Oh. LDWF Enforcement Division seeking owners of unregistered houseboats. Did you know unregistered houseboats have a tighter chance of leading to derelict or abandoned houseboats that not only litter Louisiana's waterways, but can pose a navigable safety hazard to boaters? Why? Because they often can sink below the waterline, can be hard to see at night, leave a trail of debris, and are unmarked. Agents are working to locate owners of unregistered houseboats to have the owners get it registered or removed from the waterway or face receiving a citation.
They're talking about houseboats that are on the river. Specifically, they even put pictures. Here are the pictures of some of the examples of houseboats that they are saying poses a threat. You know, like this one with the poles in the water. But I guess this one doesn't pose a threat. You know, the one with the wire that you can't see right there from far away? Or the one that's almost totally submerged from time to time.
It's insane.
With wire running across it. We don't fine them for that. Like, we don't give them a citation for that. But these are safety hazards. These big things are safety hazards. I'm super thankful that the Wildlife and Fishery have come out and recognized that, you know, she's harassing our boys while they're fishing and gave her a citation. So don't think that I'm not, because I really am. However, I do find it upsetting and silly that they couldn't recognize this hazard in the water over here, but they can recognize this. Anyway, just thought I'd point it out. Again, just going to document, because if and when someone gets hurt on that fence, I do not want to be held responsible. I want to make sure that I made everyone aware of the situation and that there is clearly a hazard out there. It is what it is. We're going to live with it, I guess, because I'm not going to continue to try to fight people over it, but I'm just saying.
I feel like every time we do an update, it's me and you guys in the comments being like, how is this fence still up? I'd say we all just rally together and go and remove it ourselves. Road trip. And then jail, but why not? It'll be a story. Someone wrote, your neighbors know someone. That's the only explanation. Thank you. That is what I'm saying.
So I don't know that they know anyone because they haven't lived here very long. I actually get this comment quite a bit because it's the only thing that would make sense, right? But I know that he's retired Coast Guard, pretty high up retired Coast Guard. So maybe that's the only thing that I can think would be the reasoning behind how he's getting away, or they're getting away with so much. The water fence in the water, the harassment, the most recent no wake zone sign. Also, probably because they continually complain, continually call and email. So I really believe that the person who calls, emails, and complains the most gets what they want, because they just want to shut them up almost. Because this no wake zone dead slow sign has been confirmed that it was installed by the Public Works, which is the local department of our parish. And apparently, because the ordinance was approved, the parish does have, or Public Works does have, the right to install not a no wake zone sign, apparently, is kind of how the email was worded, but they have the authority to post a dead slow sign. Again, they would need the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fishery to help enforce this, and like I had mentioned plenty of times, Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fishery can only enforce a no-wake zone within 300 feet of a public boat launch. So that's not the case back here. So to me, the sign is pointless, but not my yard, not my sign.
Literally.
It does seem to be getting pretty trashy and not very eye-appealing back there, but again, not my yard. And I was told by the parish councilman that they had started to email a couple months back asking about the sign. I assume that's probably right shortly after them getting a citation for the harassment of the juveniles while they're fishing, but I can't fully confirm that. However, the timing is exactly the same timing as all of the citations and then the appeal she had did and lost. It's obvious. But just like I said that if she appealed it, it would be silly, the sign is silly. There isn't anything going on back here anyway, so all she did was add more trash to her backyard.
Even if the sign isn't legit, an actual no wake zone sign, she's gonna treat it that way. We all know that. If you're causing any type of wake, we know she's gonna treat it as if that sign is quite literally the law. So can't wait to see where this goes. I'll see you guys in the comments section. The saga continues, but with a completely different new lawsuit maybe. We'll see. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.